presidential office of Cheong Wa Dae is speaking out to explain its basic pension program. The administration says it will not draw funds from the National Pension Fund, but is still taking fire from the opposition. A team of Korean researchers has developed technology to produce gasoline with glucose, with hopes of relieving fuel shortages and reducing pollution. And KBS reporters have captured live polar bears on film. They're accompanying the South Korean Automotive expedition in the Arctic Sea. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, September 30th. I'm Luke Clary. The presidential office of Cheong Wa Dae is still under fire for its basic pension program plan. The Park Geun-hye administration is taking pains to distinguish it from the National Pension Fund, saying not a penny of the National Pension Fund will go toward the new basic pension program.
Cheong Wa Dae tried to soothe public backlash against the government's basic pension program, which falls short of President Park's campaign pledge. The presidential office explained that no penny from the National Pension Fund will be used for the government's program. It promised to stipulate the separation of the two pension programs through law.
기초연금은 전액 세금으로 충당합니다. 국민연금 재정은 한 푼도 쓰지 않습니다.
The presidential office also stressed that the basic pension program is not unfavorable for long-time subscribers of the National Pension Fund. The office explained South Koreans will receive more pension benefits from the two programs if they subscribe to the National Pension Fund longer. It also refuted the claim that the basic pension program is unfavorable for young and middle-aged people, explaining they will receive more basic pension benefits on average than the current senior citizens when they are older. The ruling Saenuri party backed the presidential office's explanation, saying the scale down of the basic pension payment was inevitable to ease the tax burden of future generations. However, the main opposition Democratic Party still denounced the president and the government for disappointing the people by breaking the campaign promise.
Tomorrow marks the 65th Armed Forces Day in Korea. A wide variety of events are planned to commemorate the anniversary, including a military parade and a display of new weapons.
Honor guards from the Army, Navy, and Air Force, military academy cadets, special forces, and naval underwater demolition forces will take part in a military parade on the 65th Armed Forces Day. This is the first time in 10 years a military parade will be held to mark Armed Forces Day. It is the largest ever military parade. On Tuesday, more than 11,000 members will parade from Sungnaemun to Gwanghwamun. The soldiers are supposed to behave in a disciplined and spirited manner. They do their utmost to meet this expectation. The Special Air Force Squadron, Black Eagles, will present an acrobatic air show. Other events commemorating the 65th Armed Forces Day will also be held, including a show of soldiers jumping out of helicopters, parachute landings, and a taekwondo presentation by 700 members. They show off their militaristic spirit and skills. The military will make public its latest weapons, like the missiles Hyunmoo 2 and 3, which have a 1,000-kilometer range. The homegrown Syrian helicopter will also be put on display.
최신의 장비와 무기를 선보임으로써 강한 국군의 유형을 대내에 가시할 예정입니다.
The military invited people to the various Armed Forces Day events at Seoul Plaza today, while tomorrow the march will take place.
A team of Korean researchers has developed the technology to produce gasoline with glucose, a world-first development they hope will ease shortages of crude oil and reduce pollution.
A research team at the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology developed a technology to produce gasoline using choline bacilli. Normal cells decompose glucose to produce fatty acid, a mixture of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Fatty acid is used to build cell membranes. The research team injected a special enzyme into choline bacilli to remove all other substances except carbon and hydrogen, which are the basic materials of gasoline. When decomposing glucose, the special enzyme added choline bacilli remove oxygen and other substances and produce gasoline. This is the world's first technology to obtain gasoline from a substance which isn't related to crude oil. However, the technology's economic effect is still very low. It can produce 580 milligrams of gasoline from a liter of glucose solution. The productivity of the technology should first be significantly improved.
목재, 폰 옥수수와 같은 그런 식물류로부터 포도당을 추출해낼 수 있고 이런 포도당으로부터 특수 대장균을 이용하면 가솔린으로 생산할 수 있기 때문에
The technology was developed with the sponsorship of the Ministry of Science, ICT, and Future Planning. The finding was introduced in the international science magazine Nature on Monday.
Fingerprints can be of great help locating missing children, but few parents are aware that they can have their children's fingerprints registered at their local police station before they get their ID cards.
5-year-old Jeon Jin-ah went missing earlier this month when she was playing at a playground in her neighborhood. Wanting to see more of her neighborhood, she had wandered off when her grandfather left the playground for a moment. A passerby spotted her crying on the street and then reported her as a lost child to the police. The police were able to identify the girl and returned her to her family in just 15 minutes. Thanks to the fingerprint registration system, which was launched in July last year, 44 children safely returned to their families so far. The average time it takes to find and contact the family of a lost child whose fingerprints were registered at a police station is 21 minutes. For those whose fingerprints had not been registered, it usually takes 3.6 days.
미아 상태에서 갖게 되는 심리 공황이라든가 불안이라든가 이런 정서적 문제를 줄이거나 해결할 수 있고요. 장기 미아 상태로 빠지게 될 그 우려를 차단할 수 있거나.
But since only a few parents know about this service, only 18.3% of children who are under the age of 18 have had their fingerprints registered. The police say that the children's fingerprint information will be automatically destroyed when they reach the age of 18 due to privacy issues.
The Ministry of Education and local offices of education are in charge of training and employment programs for the disabled. Recent revelations have shown that these government bodies have failed to fill their quotas for disabled recruits.
Students with disabilities are sorting delivered packages. This school alone produces about a dozen students trained in such tasks each year. But only one out of those students succeeds in finding a job. In order to provide more jobs to the disabled, the law mandates government agencies to hire a certain number of employees with disabilities. But last year, only 2.4% of the Ministry of Education employees had disabilities. The average percentage for 17 municipal and provincial offices of education was a mere 1.48%. These agencies' ratings were far below the central government ministry's average of 3.27%, not to mention the mandatory hiring rate of 3%. Consequently, penalties were imposed for failing to meet the hiring quota. Over the past 3 years, the Seoul Metropolitan and Gyeonggi-do offices of education paid $16.8 million in combined fines. However, they oftentimes allocated budgets for penalty payments at the start of the year.
주무부처조차 장애인 고용을 기피하면서 국민의 세금으로 부담금을 내서 이 문제를 해결하려고 하는 이 교육 당국은 비판받아 마땅하다고 생각합니다.
Agencies under the Ministry of Education paid a total of nearly $52.9 million in fines over the past 3 years. That amount is 100 times the 5-year budget allocated to vocational training for the disabled.
Automotive parts for imported cars are not only expensive, they vary widely in price. It calls for confusion and many complaints among car owners. But starting next year, the prices of imported car parts will be disclosed to the public.
This driver was shocked when he visited a service center to fix the transmission on his 3-year-old imported car. The estimated cost for a new transmission was almost $9,300. An absence of information on auto parts prices made it impossible for him to find out whether the estimate was appropriate. The Korea Insurance Development Institute found that the average cost of automotive parts for imported vehicles was $1,716, 5 times the amount for the domestic cars of the same grade. But starting next year, the prices of automotive parts for all imported cars will be disclosed to the public on the official importers' internet homepages. The price disclosure of auto parts allows consumers to determine whether the repair costs are fair and appropriate.
공개를 통해서 유사한 부품의 가격을 알 수가 있고요. 또 외국과의 비교를 통해서 높은지 낮은지를 확인할 수가 있기 때문에 이런 부분들은 상당히 압박감으로 작용을 해서 낮추는데 효과가 있을 것으로 보고 있습니다.
But price information can only do so much to lower the prices when a handful of parts distributors are monopolizing the market. Additional measures, such as introducing alternate parts, should be implemented to address the problem of overpriced parts.
People use a wide variety of smartphone applications for shopping or in their studies. And these applications can also come in handy for those looking to make a little extra cash. Here's how.
This office worker studies English with a learning application on his smartphone. But studying is not the only thing he does. For each correct answer he gets, he receives points from the application. The accumulated points can be used to buy ice cream or even be exchanged for cash. Smartphone application developers have started sharing portions of their profits with their users in the form of points. Here's why they are doing it.
재미를 추구하는 부분에서 조금 벗어나서 이제는 재미와 이제 경제적인 요소까지 한꺼번에 다 가지고 가려는 스마트한 유저들이 더 훨씬 늘어나고 있는 추세이거든요.
Profit sharing is a part of their survival strategy. When a user clicks on an advertisement, or posts a comment on an article, or just unlocks the initial screen, points are added to the account. Over the past year, these applications helped some 630,000 smartphone users save almost $464,000 in their phone bills. Smartphone applications are providing various ways to make extra cash for today's tech-savvy phone users.
KBS reporters have captured polar bears on film while accompanying the South Korean Adaon expedition in the Arctic Sea. Take a look.
A polar bear shows up on floating ice in the Arctic Sea. It's a male bear standing more than 2 meters tall and presumably weighing 700 to 800 kilograms. This time, 2 cubs and their mother are spotted from afar. They're looking for food. Polar bears can withstand the bitter cold that can go as low as minus 40 degrees Celsius thanks to their fur. Their coat traps warm air close to their body, insulating them during the winter. The biggest threats polar bears are facing are global warming, which causes the ice to melt, and human intrusions into their habitat.
There is increasing appreciation for the effects of sound, loud sound, on the sensitive hearing of marine mammals, including polar bears.
All expeditions in the North Pole are accompanied by maritime inspectors who observe the Arctic ecosystem around the clock in order to protect it. A 2006 survey showed that 1,526 polar bears were found in the Beaufort Sea off of Canada. More than 90% of them are still alive today thanks to the diverse efforts to protect the species.
Now, what could be more annoying than discovering a dent in your brand new car? Now, let's see how this kind of damage occurs and how to prevent it. Song Jae-jin bought a new car a week ago. And even before that fresh car smell fades, he runs out to buy door guards to prevent dings or scratches.
이게 요새 주차 중에 문콕도 많이 당하고요. 제 차 좀 보고 가고 상대방 차 좀 이렇게 막아주려고 도어 가드 좀 사러 왔습니다.
Some car owners leave the blue factory standard sponges on their cars, but door guards nowadays come in a wide variety of flamboyant designs. Fabricated with a high elastic sponge or rubber, the door guards reduce shock on the door's surface and prevent damage. The guards might leave a little mark, but for a few bucks, you won't have to worry about unsightly dings or dents.
앞으로는 문을 여닫고 다닐 때 신경 쓸 필요가 없을 것 같아요. 예, 아주 만족스럽습니다.
It's easy to spot cars on Korean streets still adorning the factory bumpers on their doors. This is a rarity in most countries, and in fact, it's become something of a sensation for foreign media outlets.
No, I've never seen before.
We conducted a simple experiment in a junkyard in Incheon. Throwing a rock at the door leaves a pretty big dent. A coin scratches off paint with ease. But worst of all, slamming open the door leaves a scratch and a dent. The damage may look minor, but this could cost hundreds of dollars to repair.
만약에 깊게 파서 긁혔다라고 하면 차종에 따라 다르지만 20만 원에서 한 50만 원 정도까지. 특히 수입차 같은 경우는 한 100만 원 정도 들어간다고 봐야죠.
Just a little precaution can prevent door dings and dents. For example, it's much safer to let the passenger into the car after you pull out of the space. Parking spaces aren't usually big enough to accommodate open doors on both sides. The same concept applies when you're getting out of the car. The passenger should get out before you park. It's also important to leave ample space between cars. Leaving extra space when the car door opens is usually enough to prevent dents.
주차 공간이 넓은 쪽에다 내 차를 보관하는 게 굉장히 좋겠죠. 문을 열 때 나눠 열으라는 거죠. 그래서 한 번에 열지 말고 천천히 열어라는 얘기고요. 도어 가드, 그런 걸 방지해서 도어 가드를 단다든가 부착시킨다면 아마 그런 상처가 나는 걸 방지할 수가 있을 겁니다.
Remember that other people value their cars as much as you value yours. And if that's not enough to make you think, also remember you can be held legally or financially responsible for dinging someone else's car. So always remember to drive and park safely. And now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Have a great day.